Hello, my name is Lola, and I'm going to be reacting to Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder speech trailer or TV spot, I think it is. Yeah, and then after that, I'm going to react to new Rockstars Thor: Love and Thunder speech trailer breakdown and details you might miss. So if you want to like, comment, subscribe to my channel, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Here we go.
Asgard!
Get the popcorn out. He's gonna do a speech.
Oh.
See what's happening here. You're afraid. Scared.
Oh no.
Yes, Star-Lord.
Anxious.
No.
My friends, times like this, we need to unite, come together. I'm sorry, Meek. It's very hard to get a rousing speech with the noise.
Oh God, we're gonna die.
Drax.
This is my vow. Oh gods, we'll die.
That seems a bit dangerous.
This
Ooh, that's an awesome shot.
Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder. PG-13. Tickets on sale now.
How exciting.
Experience it only in theaters July 8th.
Man, that's a really good trailer. Like, man, I really cannot wait for this movie to come out, man. Well, let's see what new Rockstars has to say. See what Eric
Welcome
found.
back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Thor: Love and Thunder just dropped a new trailer promo with a ton of new footage that I have to break down frame by frame. But not only that, we got some official photos from Total Film that, like everything in this movie, are nearly impossible to see because why would you look at anything other than these characters' arms? Somehow, I managed to avert my eyes for just a few seconds at a time to other things in that frame. This process awakening everything in me, and I discovered some new insights about Love and Thunder, including some mysterious teases from the cast and crew and interviews. Let's break it all down. And let's start with the new trailer that just dropped. Roll the clip.
Asgard!
Get the popcorn out. He's gonna do a speech.
See what's happening here. You're afraid. Scared.
Oh no.
Anxious.
Thor.
My friends, times like this, we need to unite, come together. I'm sorry, Meek. It's very hard to get a rousing speech with the noise.
Oh God.
Oh, poor Meek.
This is my vow. Oh gods, we'll die.
That seems a bit dangerous.
Man, I love that shot. It's so awesome.
Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh my God, so much to talk about. First, we gotta talk about the speed with which Thor can summon Stormbreaker as he embarks upon this battle with the rest of the Guardians. I love how we see his mastery over Stormbreaker, setting up the frustration this guy's gonna feel when his original weapon Mjolnir returns, but does not zip right to his hand the way Stormbreaker does. Korg clears a path in that new Asgard town hall meeting for Thor to come in and make his big speech. And a glorious here, for the first time, we see Olympus from the outside, and it is a floating city structure in the sky, a sun blazing behind it, but clearly not our sun. Our sun would be much brighter. This one we can actually see the orb structure of this star. And I love how Olympus evokes the structure of Asgard. Both are floating discs with structures both above and below. Maybe I'm seeing things, but the structures in the top half of Olympus actually look burned compared to the golden lower half and the golden outer surfaces. We might be seeing someone fleeing Olympus after the attack from Gore. And what is departing Olympus here? Why, that is Thor's goat boat, the Aegir, blasting away from it, carried by his two trusty goats. And I like how carrying this boat is a rainbow, showing how it is Stormbreaker's Bifrost powers that are allowing it to transport. Thor and Mighty Thor Jane gaze upon New Asgard from a high point as it blazes during this battle with the creatures who we think are the Black Berserkers, who are symbiote-like amorphous beings that emanate from All Black the Necrosword. Just because in the Marvel Comics, All Black comes from the symbiote deity Null, and even though a splash of venom is left in the MCU currently, I would just be really surprised if the word symbiote or or venom or anything like that is brought up in this movie. And you can see how a huge explosion blows some of these creatures off of their feet or whatever you call their appendages. Looks like the explosion rocks a boat that's sitting on a trailer, maybe one of the other tourist boats of this colony. Another shot of the corpse of Falagar the Behemoth, then a close-up of a very scared-looking Korg, and then more of this fight with the guards of Olympus. I like how they bleed gold, like the Sovereign from Guardians Volume 2. Valkyrie licks some of this gold blood off of her sword, and you can see the rest of her body is covered in this stuff. I like how Thor uses his chains, his whips, and lassos to toss them around. His straddle using the battle ropes with the chains of that giant skeleton are clearly paying off here. I just love how Jane releases the broken fragments of Mjolnir as a cluster spray, which then presumably retract into the hammer's broken form. An amazing new range attack that only works if Mjolnir is broken into pieces like this. Now notice, as Korg assists Thor, you can see our clearest shot yet of the larger deities on the thrones in the background. One is in gold, carrying a staff, having an interesting headpiece. Another one to the right of it, dressed in red. So we're seeing different tiers of gods, some the size of normal humans, some roughly 10 to 12 feet tall. And these larger ones look to be a mix of humanoids with animalistic heads, much like the 10-foot tall Egyptian gods like Ammit, Khonshu, and Taweret, who we met in Moon Knight. We also know there will be a human form of Bast, aka Bastet, in these seats, and I am thinking that we will also meet the Mayan deity of Itzamna, because I'm pretty sure this pantheon is the Council of Godheads from the Thor comics, which includes Zeus, Itzamna, Osiris, whom we saw in Moon Knight, but also the Celtic god of Nuada, the Iroquois spirit of Manitou, the Russian spirit of Svarog, and the Aztec deity of this. I am awful at pronouncing Aztec terms. I'm not even gonna try. Now the Mayan deity, I believe, is gonna take the form of a jaguar. Though to be clear, Itzamna does not take the form of the jaguar in the Mayan mythology. Whoever the Mayan god or goddess is, ultimately, I believe, is going to be using Namor, the Submariner, as an avatar. The way Bast uses a Black Panther as an avatar, and the way Khonshu uses Moon Knight as an avatar. Something that we're gonna explore a lot more in Wakanda Forever. It's also possible that they use a different Mayan deity than Itzamna, because in Mayan mythology, the jaguar spirit is considered to be Xbalanque, another name that I very much apologize if I mispronounced. Now, if you look closely, the weapon that Korg tosses to Thor is actually Korg's trusty melee weapon that he had on Sakaar in Ragnarok. Now, in this town hall, Thor passes the residents of New Asgard, and I love how you can see they've all assimilated into the fashion styles of Earth, yet many of them still bear the hairstyles and facial hair of Asgardians, which I think could best be described as like Ren Fair Country Club Week. And I love this. Behind him, Valkyrie wears a Phantom of the Opera shirt. Now we know this is a tourist economy and it has a theater company. Melissa McCarthy's gonna be playing Hela in a restaging of the events of Ragnarok.
Really?
And maybe like in Las Vegas, they have a resident production of Phantom, but like in a convenient hour-and-a-half version of it. Behind them is someone wearing traditional Asgardian wear, maybe the actress in one of those plays who played Frigga. But also in the shot, you can see how Natalie Portman has been made taller with VFX because in real life, she is not a foot taller than Tessa Thompson as she appears to be here. And of course, Meek, wearing these secretarial clothes, has been impressively jotting down all this dictation on the dry erase board, but doing it in this really cool Kamala Khan style doodling. I love how she plugged a marker into her wrist appendage where a blade normally is. She also drew a really impressive depiction of Asgard. But one of the more confusing shots of this footage shows an insane battle with the Guardians in this jungle setting. You can see Drax and Kraglin, as well as Nebula, and then Rocket floating in on his jetpack in the background. And then I assume Groot is somewhere around here, fighting in this water against beasts with tentacles that, yeah, do look a lot like the Black Berserker creatures that are attacking New Asgard. Drax uses his dagger to cut off a piece of it. There is some other species in this water setting. They have shells, kind of like turtles or crabs. To me, they kind of look like water armadillos. And the jungle behind them is some kind of industrial looking deforestation process. I don't know, maybe this is part of the Act 1 montage when Thor and the Guardians fight in a series of battles on various landscapes, aiding various societies across the galaxy. Basically, we're seeing the Asgardians of the galaxy in action, and it looks awesome. But then very interesting shot here we have to talk about. Thor will also appear in this chamber that contains the statues of the cosmic entities we identified. The Living Tribunal statue is directly behind him, the Watcher on the left of that, and then we know on the other side of this room, based on the shots of Jane, that we're also going to see the statue of Lady Death in Eon and Infinity. Now before, I pointed out how the Living Tribunal's faces are different in various shots. One the half-covered face, one the fully uncovered face, indicating to me that the head might rotate as opposed to just being fixed in place, and that these statues might have more life to them. Some of you said I was crazy, but no. Now when you go frame by frame through this shot of Thor, you can definitely see the Living Tribunal head rotating slightly behind him. So yeah, Jane and Thor are gonna have an active dialogue with these statues. We may even hear the voice of Jeffrey Wright as Uatu the Watcher in this statue form. But notice to the right of Thor in this shot, some bricks are crumbled behind him. I wonder if there could have been a sixth entity in this room whose statue was destroyed. Now, if Infinity is at the far end, maybe across the diagonal here would would be her brother Eternity. Eternity might be being destroyed as a way of showing how the multiverse is currently crumbling through a series of incursions leading to Avengers Secret Wars. Thank you, Reed Richards, for giving us the word incursions. We see the same shots of Gore the God Butcher with Christian Bale's head unscarred in one shot, but then presumably later on in the film, later on in his life, definitely scarred up. He may be making his vow in a flashback here when he was younger to his dying wife Ara or their starving son Agar. Maybe he's making his vow to the first god he killed, from whom he took the sword. By the way, I still love the theory that I mentioned in past videos that Gore might have come from Vormir. Vormir could have been his homeworld. He could have had some history with the Soul Stone, even though I guess that does feel a bit unlikely to be revealed in this film. I still pray to the gods I could be right on that. Probably not. Then Korg and Mantis and Thor on the Benatar ship. Mantis's hair looking greener here. But then we get this gnarly shot of Thor leading the Guardians through some fire. Mantis, Rocket, Kraglin, Peter Quill, Star-Lord, Nebula, Groot, and Drax. But notice how Thor here is still a bit chubby. He's got that Viking beard and the same exact armor that he had in the final battle of Endgame. This is likely the first battle that the Asgardians of the Galaxy had together after they left Earth, before he lost all of his weight in that training montage. Then Thor confronts Gore in this desaturated setting, only his eyes glowing the color of Mjolnir's blue lightning. I theorize that Gore and his sword are actively desaturating the universe because the spectrum of color in the MCU comes from the Infinity Stones and from Infinity herself. And despite the stone's atomization, that radiation continues to course through the universe. So by killing these gods, Gore might be depriving the universe of its color, fading it into gray tones. Behind Thor are some blurry shots of some giant crab-like creatures, maybe the same snaky vines that Gore pushes through in other shots, which could be the Black Berserker's final forms. And as their weapons collide, sparks of color begin to burst out of the impact. I presume this is going to result in that vibrant neon shot from the other promo. But big announcement coming your way. The team at Epic Hero Shop is releasing their God Butcher World Tour design early. It looks awesome. Inspired by heavy metal concept graphics from the 80s, this design features a necro sword skewering the head of the Norse god of thunder. Thor kebab, anybody? The tour stops include realms Gore visited in the comics and places he might hit in the movie. Some great Easter eggs that you can wear anywhere. You can get this unique design on a premium fit t-shirt or wall poster. They've also got Thor's Strongest Avenger hats back in stock. Perfect for showing off at any barbecue or pool party this summer. Grab these designs and mark your calendars because July 7th, we're dropping a new latest obsession to celebrate the release of Thor Love and Thunder in theaters. And of course, don't forget about the General Kenobi and Miss Marvel collections. Mondolani, if you are watching, we've got a shirt for you. Just let us know. We would be honored if you ever wore it. And for all of you, do not miss out on those latest obsession designs before they are gone. We love working with Epic Hero Shop because of their attention to detail, their awesome products, and their great customer service. Shop these designs and more at epicheroshop.com. And we end this trailer with one new line from Gore.
How exciting.
Which is the most personality we've really seen from his character so far. And you get the sense that Christian Bale might be taking some elements from his Dark Knight co-star Heath Ledger when it comes to the energy he's bringing to Gore. The giddy laugh he has here, the line, "This is my vow, all gods will die," definitely evokes starting tonight, people will die. I'm a man of my word. You can't blame Christian Bale at all because the MCU deserves a higher class of criminal. Why not take inspiration from the best? But we have to move on to the new photos that were released and these interview quotes with the cast and crew because those tell us quite a bit and gave me a wild take for how this movie could end. So Total Film released 3 official photos. The first confirms what I spotted in the second trailer last month, that Thor's meditation atop that peak with the wisdom tree will be interrupted by 2 of the Guardians, now confirmed to be Peter Quill and Mantis. Now Mantis's appearance has changed somewhat. A brighter shade of green in her hair are not in this photo the oversized darker peepers that she had before, though this might just be Mantis before the film's post-production has adjusted the VFX on her eyes. Quill bringing Mantis up here makes some sense because as an empath, she can sense Thor's emotions, and Thor is going through something of an identity crisis in this film, and Mantis's empathy might help Thor in this soul searching, or at least wake him up out of his meditative trance so that he can help them in this fight, like how she woke him up in Infinity War.
Wait. Oh yeah.
There's also a new image of Natalie Portman as the mighty Thor Jane Foster standing in that same new Asgard town hall meeting room where the rest of the residents have gathered in the aftermath of the attack of those beasts that we assume are Gore's Black Berserkers. Kevin Feige said in this interview with the magazine that Jane's bulked up appearance was mostly Portman's doing, saying, quote, "The only thing we assisted with was making the mighty Thor a little bit taller. That was the only movie magic we used. Everything else was all her." But then this third photo shows Thor on the Benatar, the Guardians Guardians of the Galaxy's ship. He's wearing the outfit that we've talked about before, the one that overall looks like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China. He's also got that studded version of Quill's red jacket with the sleeves torn off, and his tank with an interesting design, I assume an artistic rendition of the Yggdrasil Worlds tree. And now you can see more clearly in the branches of that tree the same Asgardian pattern that the Bifrost would leave burned into the grass. But now I'm pretty curious about this green plant specimen in the glowing chamber in the background. The Benatar has been seen to have plants kept on it. In Infinity War, there was a cactus-looking plant in the background between Gamora and Drax. Drax here allowing himself to be visible. I think you can also see the same plant on the ship in Endgame when Tony and Nebula were stranded on the Benatar, the shot where they were fixing the ship to stretch out its life support capacity to 23 days. We also know the Guardians kept fresh veggies of the yarrow root on their past ship, the Milano, in Guardians Volume 2.
I'm hungry. Can you say that yarrow root?
No, it's not ripe yet, and I hate you.
It's not ripe.
It's not ripe.
But in Endgame, since Tony and Nebula were starving to death for over 3 weeks, if this was a yarrow root plant that they were growing on board, it either is not ripe here, or it's some other plant that just is not edible. And remember, in the second episode of What If, we learned of an interesting flora specimen that the Guardians of the Galaxy were interested in, called the Ember of Genesis.
Nutrient-rich cosmic dust from an ancient supernova with the power to terraform entire ecosystems. With 1 ounce, you can heal a dying planet in minutes.
And ever since then, I have been hoping that the Ember of Genesis could make its way into live action. Who knows? Maybe that is something the Guardians could gift to the Zatoan people of Centauri 4, Yondu's home tribe. Maybe even the Ember of Genesis was something the Eternals used to gift the early Sumerians the gift of agriculture. Like the Guardians on their ship, the Eternals had a kind of greenhouse that it looked like Ajax was using to grow all kinds of shit. I think I spotted some space indica in there. Anyway, you can add all of this to my series of ridiculous gastronomic queries we've explored on this channel, including what is Thanos cooking and giant dumps. God. Now, in addition to these updates, we learned from an interview with Taika Waititi, Chris Hemsworth, and Tessa Thompson by Fandango's Jacqueline Coley, in which Thompson revealed that Valkyrie doesn't necessarily cross paths with the Guardians in this movie.
I just came to set to watch because I wasn't in any of the Guardian stuff, and I don't remember which of them said it to me, but someone asked me, is it always like this? I was like, yes, it is.
This further confirms what we have suspected, that Thor's time with the Guardians hopping from planet to planet will really be in the movie's first act, but when Thor returns to Earth, that will begin his time with Jane and with Valkyrie. Now, of course, just because Tessa Thompson didn't share a set with the Guardians doesn't mean that she won't be in any scenes with them, because Elizabeth Olsen confirmed her scenes with the Illuminati and Multiverse of Madness were really her alone on a blue screen set, and she's never actually met John Krasinski. These wizards at Marvel can pull off anything. But these three were also asked about the deeper meaning of the title of Love and Thunder.
There is love in this film across the board. Everyone has a little awakening in one way or another, some shape or form. Universal love, and love for oneself, love for friends, one for universe, love for community.
Universal love, huh? And I find it interesting that as Hemsworth began to say this, Taika Waititi jumped in, interrupting him to clarify.
Love for
And
community.
that you can assume some things from the title, but also don't assume.
Yeah.
That's tea.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's deep.
I like that.
That just means that we don't know what we're talking about.
And then this led to an interesting back and forth about the way the movie ends.
Can't tell you anything because
Because how the film ends
It's different than what you might think.
It's a romance.
A romantic comedy.
It's a romantic
It's a
comedy.
It's a romantic.
It's a romantic comedy, romantic
Dramedy.
tragedy. It's a dramedy.
And then later in the interview, Taika Waititi, when pressed, finally cited which romance film influenced him.
I was thinking about like things that were like Officer and a Gentleman, like particularly the end scene where he comes in and sweeps her off her feet.
So what the hell are they getting at? Well, we will find out soon. I can't wait to revisit this interview on the other side of the movie. But Taika Waititi went on to say that when he pitched this movie, he imagined the cover of a Mills and Boon romance novel, which definitely explains that trailer shot of Thor chest exposed on the deck of a pirate ship. And Waititi and Thompson seem to suggest that despite the love in the movie's title and initial premise, the way this movie ends might be a sort of antithesis to the classical romantic notions of chivalry, giving up everything for one's soulmate that this movie leads with, which is essentially the story beats that we saw at the ends of Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That classic notion of if you love them, let them go. And I'll say, as much of a trope as it is, anytime I see that in a movie, my heart melts. But that is not the kind of filmmaker Taika Waititi is. He loves to subvert expectations. He loves to burn the world down at the end of his movies. That's what he did in Thor Ragnarok. Nothing is sacred in that movie. Asgard's not a place, it's a people. I'm assuming he's gonna do the same thing in Love and Thunder. Instead of what we expect, an implication that Thor and Jane will always love each other, but it's best that they part ways, he might just say, They were never right for each other. Waititi is not very kind about the way Jane is depicted in the first 2 Thor movies. I think he's gonna retroactively say that the love that they had for each other was not pure and true in any form. And in fact, when you go back and watch those movies, the thing that they were actually in love with was what Chris Hemsworth was hinting at. The universe. A universal love. The moment Jane fell for Thor was beside that campfire, as he explained Yggdrasil in the 9 Realms. She's an astrophysicist, and Thor, for her, embodied the cosmos. He was a sky full of stars encased in a sexy bod. You can't blame her for falling for him because he fell from the stars. So how interesting is it now that this film is also introducing corporeal forms of abstract heavenly concepts like infinity. Infinity is the sister to eternity, and the two of them together embody the known universe. A sky full of stars encased in a sexy bod. So I don't know, I am totally reaching here, but maybe Jane will end this movie falling in love with infinity, swept off her feet like Deborah Winger in An Officer and a Gentleman, carried away into the cosmos. And knowing what Jane goes through in the Mighty Thor Jason Aaron comics, an image that might bring tears to her eyes, because like all Asgardians when they die, doesn't it make sense for her to be lifted off of this cosmic plane into a higher one? Time will tell. But in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVOS. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to wait till the movie comes out. And I mean, it might end that way, or it could just end with Thor and Jane going off together somewhere. I don't know. Man, I hope that shot. Where is it? This one. I hope it is in the movie. Like, I hope this shot is really in the movie, because there have been times where in Marvel trailers where they'll show an awesome shot and then you go see the movie and it's not at all in the movie. It's like, man, where is it? Like that scene, what was it? Spider-Man Homecoming, where you see Iron Man and Spider-Man flying and swinging off together, joining together to fight, but it was never in the trailer. I mean, it was never in the movie. It was in the trailer, but not in the movie. I hope this is in the movie, because that's an awesome shot. But what would make it more complete is if Gamora was there, but for some reason she's not. And hopefully she'll appear in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I hope so. Anyway, that will do for my reaction to New Rockstars, Thor, Love and Thunder trailer breakdown, Easter eggs and details you might miss. I'll put a link of the original video down below. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.